our mindset when we first started was like, oh, this is our song featuring you. But we kind of learned like in rap, that's not really how it works. Like producers kind of like, give someone a beat and then it's like their song produced by you.
Bringin It Backwards.
What's going on? Hey, how are you?
Good. How's it going?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Thank you both so much for doing this.
Stoked to be here. Thanks for having us.
Of course. My name's Adam, and this podcast is about the both of you, your journey in music, and we'll talk about the new record that's out now is the one with Modson, but you have another one coming out, right, as well with Hoodie, Alan?
We don't know if that one's gonna come out.
Oh, okay.
We'll see. A lot up in the air, but
okay, we'll just talk about Modson.
Perfect.
Cool. Yeah. I just wanted to check because I did. In the press release that I have, it didn't say anything about it, and then just in the notes that I had mentioned something about it in August. So
a lot of dramatic release schedule stuff, but
awesome. Killer. Awesome. Well, again, thank you both so much for doing this.
Of course, thanks for having us.
Yeah. So first off, you both are from LA, but Eli, you were born and raised in LA, and you weren't, Matthew, or what?
Born and raised. Matt came when he was like 10.
Yeah. I moved here in 5th grade, and before that I was a little bit all over the place, but pretty much at this point LA.
All right. Well, so okay. Well, then where were you born then, Eli? I'm just curious.
I was born in LA. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry, Matt was born elsewhere. I got confused.
Yeah. Sorry. So I was on the East Coast. I actually lived in Poland for a couple of years when I was younger.
Oh, wow.
So kind of New York, New England, Poland, and then moved to LA in 5th grade.
How long were you in Poland? I'm curious.
I was there for 2nd and 3rd grade, so 2 years. It was a cool experience. Honestly, still have a couple friends from like around there.
Really?
It was an American school, but most of the people were from all over the world, and they live in random places now.
Okay,
it was cool. Honestly, I've stayed in touch with a couple, and I'll see them at shows, or some people will hit me up and stuff.
Have you guys played Poland? Or
no, I literally have not been back since I moved away, which is wild.
Really? Oh, okay. Well, that'd be crazy.
I need to get back. I think my mom went back a couple years ago, but I would be interested to see what I remember.
Sure. Okay, cool. So Eli, you're born and raised in LA then. Yes. Tell me, I'm from San Diego, so tell me about your experience in LA up until 5th grade.
I mean, yeah, gotta be honest, don't remember too much, but I mean, we loved growing up in LA. So we met in 7th grade in middle school, and then went to middle school and high school together, and then we split up for college, left LA for college, but came back. It's nice because a lot of music stuff is obviously happening in LA, and a lot of music people end up moving to LA. For us, it was almost just automatic anyway, that we knew, finishing up school, we want to move back home anyway. So we love being in LA, where a lot of people come here, but we're still kind of have our friends and family, and it's a little bit of the best of both worlds.
And you ended up moving to Nashville, right?
Yeah, I went to school, and I went to college in Nashville. Matt was up in like Bay Area, Northern California.
So you both went to really good schools from what I read about you.
We didn't use much of it for this stuff now, but
yeah, that was kind of the base, the foundation of Two Friends was right at the end of high school. So then we split up to go to college right after. So the first 4 years of Two Friends was basically long distance, makeshift studio where it's actually the same room we're still in right now. We're literally calling in from is the basement of Matt's house. And we were here. It didn't look like this back then. It was more of just like a fold-up table, and we'd come home from like Christmas break and summer breaks, and any chance we could together, we'd be here working, and then we'd go back to college and do FaceTime and screen sharing and sending stuff back and forth. So
that stuff barely even existed. We were doing like,
I was gonna say, man, you're like way ahead of the curve on the like virtual learning and everything like that. Wow. When did so Matt, to talk real quick on you, when did you get into music? Like, do you come from a musical household at all?
Yeah, I mean, my dad like made me and my siblings start taking like guitar lessons when we were really young, and I hated it at the time, but very glad he did. And then like somehow got roped into like the choir in high school, even though that was never a passion, but I think it was actually helpful. Did like music theory stuff. So kind of came from that background. And Eli was a little more of the DIY mashup world in high school, when mashups were very like just becoming a thing. They're kind of got actually hot for a moment there.
Oh, they were huge for a bit.
Yeah. So Eli was super early on that train. And then I guess as we were graduating, like we were like, oh, well, maybe if we combine our skill sets and like whatever, we can like do this. And neither of us knew how to produce or really make music. But that was part of the journey. We had the name Two Friends way before we started like learning how to do this stuff. And then during college, got super, super into it, took it really seriously, and then kind of kept going after.
Interesting. Did you play in a band or anything? I mean, you said you played guitar and sang in choir.
Only in like little, like I did like music classes in middle school, high school. And like there was some, like one of them was like kind of essentially a rock band class, whatever. So did that kind of stuff, but never officially.
Okay. And what about you, Eli? Any ever play like that in a band?
I played clarinet in the middle school band.
Oh, there you go. I played clarinet in fifth grade and gave it
up.
There you go.
Yeah, haven't used it in a song or a show yet, but you know, we're
still time.
There's
still time.
Yeah, no, this was kind of the first group, I guess, that both of us did.
Wow, that's cool. And you met in middle school, you said. I just based off your Wikipedia, which is burned me in the past, Brentwood School, and then I went there to check out that's where Maroon 5 went, and like Fred and Ben Savage. I thought that was so cool.
Yeah, they're definitely a little bit earlier than us, but
sure, of course. But it's just
Maroon
funny,
5's
like, is that
definitely
like a buzz thing around the school?
Adam Levine, they're very proud of him.
Definitely.
We are.
I was gonna say, like, is that like, do they got? I interviewed somebody that went to the same high school that Marilyn Manson went to, and like that was a thing. Like they were like stoked on that. Like,
it's funny. I mean, yeah, we definitely like. I feel like everyone knew that, like, oh yeah, you're the alumni that went on to be famous or whatever. But
sure,
I think it's funny actually. At the time, Matt and I were really. It was the very, very end of high school, so we really only were doing it for the last couple months of senior year of high school. But we were the odd one out trying to do more of like the electronic music production as opposed to like garage band rock bands. And like then a few years later, Matt had some younger siblings that were still at the school, and they were telling us it was the total opposite, that like everyone wants to be a DJ now, and you're the odd one out if you're still in a band, playing guitar and drums or whatever. So we were definitely early, but then it quickly changed.
It worked out.
Yeah. I remember seeing, I have younger kids too. I remember seeing like that shift. It was like Marshmallow was like the thing. Like people were dressing up like him in like for Halloween. There's like elementary school kids. I'm like,
oh yeah,
what the hell is going on here? But okay, so you guys started really working together towards the end of high school. Like what drew you together? Were you friends in middle school?
Oh yeah. We were best friends. We were best friends since 7th grade.
Oh, okay. So
So we were hanging out all the time anyway. And that's kind of how it happened, was we were just hanging out on a weekend or something. And it was like, hey, we both like music. We may have these different skills that could be cool to combine.
I wish I could see footage of this, because this would be the most epic thing to ever see and hear. Because I can't even imagine us talking about it without even the right vocab. It's like, do you want to be a DJ? Like, I don't even know.
Yeah, we had gone to some music festivals at the end of high school, and like had really started to like even just see what DJs were and what electronic music was.
It wasn't even like we were like stuck on electronic music. We were like more into production. Like it could have been beats for rappers. It could have been whatever. And I think the waiting time and like not being in control of the hip hop space, like waiting for people to record and whatever, kind of skewed us towards the more EDM side. But I have no clue what made us decide. I think it was like a combination of, we were super obsessed with sports and stuff in high school, and we were going to school in a year and not doing sports and stuff like that. So we're like, all right, need to find a new hobby.
Sure. Where did it start off, like making beats and doing production, and eventually, I know you guys do a bunch of remixes and you've done obviously a whole lot of other things, but was it in the beginning just trying to write beats and make production for other people to like top line over?
I think it started that way, not necessarily because like we loved rap more than electronic. I actually think probably not. I think it was we can make more rudimentary beats that were up to a quality level quicker. And they weren't great. They were like still not super well produced. But I think electronic music was a lot harder, especially back then. It was just like there was less tools, less plugins that made it easier and stuff to like get quick learning curve. So it was really difficult for us. So I think that's actually what did it, the learning curve.
Okay. And then were you putting these up like on SoundCloud or something, or reaching out to people?
Yeah.
Like,
so yeah, I mean, at the very, very beginning was when we would make a beat. It would be like sample based. So we'd pick like a lot of them were like indie rock songs or whatever. So like the very, very first one was Daylight by Matt and Kim. That like that famous piano melody. We kind of just like, you know, resampled it, made our own thing, and literally put it on an email, BCC 500 different rappers. And
like, and by like small rappers too, not like,
no, we weren't sending it to
it wasn't like Kanye.
No. You know, it'd be like
I love
college.
how we both went to Kanye.
Yeah. It was back in like, you know, blogs were super popular back then.
Yeah.
Hype Machine super popular. So it'd be like the college rappers or like kind of just, you know, very like low key guys who were getting some press on blogs. And then I think that's honestly was part of it too, was like, then we were so naive back then. We kind of, our mindset when we first started was like, oh, this is our song featuring you. But we kind of learned like in rap, that's not really how it works. Like producers kind of like, you know, give someone a beat and then it's like their song produced by you.
We didn't love that. So I think that's
we did it, you know, we honestly feel like, yeah, we there were probably 5 to 10 songs that we did it like that, where we would give out a beat. It was like, you know, we didn't make any money from it. It was all just like free on SoundCloud. We would give beats for free, and we would have to, you know, like I remember one time we even like wrote back paragraphs of notes to this guy, like, hey, so yeah, I think, you know, the first verse, you should switch, blah blah blah. And he actually was nice about it. He was like, hey guys, like, appreciate the, you know, the
feedback.
But like just a heads up, because other people won't be as like, you know, won't respond as well. Like this is kind of my beat now. Like I'm doing my thing. It's not really like your brand anymore. And so that was kind of, but he said it super like nicely, and we're like, oh, that's interesting. And then I think we were also, you know, at the time starting to listen to more and more electronic music, and it still was definitely going to be harder and, you know, like different. You have to make a full song, every element, not just like the beat. But I think around that time I was like, all right, you know, we don't really see this going the direction we want if we only stick with making beats for rappers. So that's when we kind of started trying to do original full songs and remixes and all that.
Okay. Yeah. So like, for example, the new one with Mod Sun that you just put out, that's a song that you created with all the production, everything around, and he's obviously a name and has his own huge career. You reach out to him and he's like, sure, I'll do something. And he writes the hook and the lyrics and stuff, and honestly, or do you collaborate together?
Every process is different. There's co-writers, there's collaborators, there, you know, whatever it might be. But that one was we worked with some awesome co-writers, and then got Mod, and like he was amazing. He came over to the studio late night, but he crushed it. And then we kind of put it all together, and it, you know, we're super stoked how Time Bomb came out.
Sure. No, I've interviewed him before. He's such a cool, like, open book person. His documentary, I don't know if you've seen his documentary that he put out. It's like,
it's on my list.
Oh, it's so good. And like how transparent he is insane, that he's just like, here's my world, and this is all my stuff that I've done. Like it's great. It's a great documentary. But okay. Yeah. So it sounds like now you're at a level where you can approach people like him or whoever else to work with.
Like Matt said, there's so many different ways we'll go about it. Sometimes like, you know, we'll invite people over to the studio and we'll start from scratch, write a brand new song altogether. Other times it's just Matt and I will write something and kind of have a wish list of people we could reach out to that could record it, because, you know, we don't really sing. I mean, Matt does in the choir. Matt was in choir, so a lot of times, you know, if it is just us and we don't have another singer in the room, Matt will lay out the first demo, and then, you know, we'll kind of see like, oh, okay, who would do this justice. I mean, eventually it might be Matt.
Maybe. Not yet.
Not
But,
yet. I was always
yeah.
wondered that because I've interviewed people from all genres of music, and I just don't. I'm hip to the music of EDM, but I just don't know the process is much behind it. So I love hearing kind of how that you know the sausage is cooked, so to speak. Because I don't, you know, you see these songs and you guys have huge names on songs, and it's like it's super rad, but I don't know how that all kind of ends up unfolding.
I think, every producer, every DJ, every session is different. Like, you know, some producers prefer just producing and like maybe having a top line or sending out instrumentals. We like to definitely write a lot. So like whether we're writing alone or with other people or with the feature in the room, we find like that usually will give our sound a little bit more of a Two Friends flavor, especially if there's singers on most songs.
Cool. When you end up, you know, leaving high school, this was just kind of what a very, like, were you putting the songs up on SoundCloud yet or reaching out to these rappers, or did that not come until?
We were probably reaching out during the summer.
Okay.
And the first song probably came out end of the summer before college.
2011.
Yeah, 2011. So we're like, oh, this is cool, like whatever. And we kept doing it probably for maybe 6-7 months. And then by the new year, we probably started focusing on electronic music a little more.
Yeah. And so back then it was all just SoundCloud was in the heyday. So you just, you know, you finish a song and you're thinking about, all right, next week, let's
SoundCloud, blogs, Hype Machine.
Yeah, I was gonna say with Hype Machine, I mean, you had so many number ones on Hype Machine, where at the time, if you had a number one on Hype Machine, I'm sure it was still the same time period. Yeah. It was like life changing.
I would say between 2011 and like 2000, I'm kind of guessing here, but 2016, 17, like a Hype Machine number one on SoundCloud would get you in between like 30 and 100K plays a day.
Yeah, it was like essentially getting playlisted on one of the bigger editorial Spotify playlists.
Exactly. That's the new age version.
Sure. And that's how people were getting managers and record labels were reaching out. Were you seeing that same?
I mean,
trend?
Well, it's funny to look back on because like it was one of those things where the hype felt like it was there. It was like, yeah, you know, all these Hype Machine SoundCloud plays are, you know, going up, social media stuff, but it's like, damn, like none of that is translating to money yet. You know, it's all kind of like the building blocks of like, we're not getting, you know, if you do an unofficial remix, you're not getting paid for it. But it's like, but you know, you do enough of them, you get enough eyeballs, you get enough people interested in being part of the team, you get your management, you get your agent, you start doing shows. It's all kind of like building it up to make money, you know, a few years later. But yeah, I think we were kind of lucky in that regard of like, while we were in school, we weren't necessarily focused on what do we need to do to make money right now,
survive, right? Yeah,
right.
Eat.
We're like more about like what are we gonna do to sort of set it all up, and then
just grow this.
Hopefully, by the time we graduate college, then it could be more of like a full-time paying job.
Like a business, like your own job.
You know, even when we graduated, the first year or two, we're definitely still not really like, you know, we were living at home, like not really like kicking in yet, but then we're like, you know, we're sticking with it. We've put in so much work here, and then I think, you know, it's all baby steps that eventually it's like, all right, now it feels like there's no going back. Was there a point like in college when, or like, I guess before I ask that question, when was like the turning point for you? Like, when did you get your first like number one on Hype Machine? Like, was there like the first moment of like, whoa, like this is really working? We always say there's like little victories. So like you tiny little steps. So like you look back in like a year, 2 years, 5 years, and you're like, whoa, what was the one thing? And usually there isn't one thing, I think, which is a good thing because it builds a really solid foundation. There's definitely like a couple moments in college, especially where we're like, ooh, okay, this is motivating, whatever. I would say we did this one remix that this guy who we're still friendly with at SiriusXM like asked us to do, and we're just like, okay, sure. He was like a fan or whatever, which is cool. And we did it as this Lana Del Rey remix, and he just like put it on rotation for like 6 months after that. That gained a lot of traction at dance radio and stuff. So that people started hitting us up, managers, etc. The Hype Machine stuff definitely helped. I would say by
college, there was a couple moments. And then the year we graduated college, we were like doing very consistent releases, had more time, doing a lot of remixes. Big Bootie Mixes started to pick up, which was like our mix series. And there was kind of like just a momentum thing of like, okay, wow, people are really starting to listen. This is going in the right direction. But it felt like it was going in the right direction in college too. You know, just the little victories. But yeah, I would say that remix helped a lot. People starting to listen to originals. People just, not that they would happen, but colleges and places like hitting us up to book us was definitely, you know, showing there's at least some demand.
Sure. I mean, that's a huge industry in itself, right? I mean, playing different frat parties in different colleges across the country, especially in the EDM world, from what I've learned. I was going to, my question was if, like, because I wanted to know where that moment was. Was there a moment then in college when you're like, do we really need to finish, you know, going to school here? Like, should we just dump it and, you know, try to focus on this full time?
I think that happened, but late enough into college where it was almost like we're close. Let's just finish because why not?
And there wasn't enough going where it was like,
right.
100%.
It would have felt a little
risky,
forced and like rushed. So it was kind of like, you know, around sophomore, junior year, maybe let's call it like beginning of junior year, was really when some of those things that Matt was just mentioning started happening. And it was like, okay, we could drop out and give this 100%, but it was like, why are we rushing? That's so hard.
It wasn't like there was such a huge opportunity for us right then, so it would have been a mistake for sure.
Yeah,
so it sounds like, you know, we had friends, we were having fun in college.
Our parents would have been very pissed.
Yeah, and we were, you know, it's like some of the stuff I think indirect, like, you know, we took business classes, Matt took some like engineering classes, and like obviously it's not necessarily directly related to what we do, but I think it was good that we like had those experiences.
Yeah, it's definitely knowledge I'm sure you use day to day, in that having your duo is your own business entity, and you have to run it like a business or you're not going to make it.
Totally.
Right.
What was my question going to be? I can't remember now. We were talking about oh my gosh, I'm sorry. I just totally spaced. Anyway, okay. So you know, you're in college, you finish, you then decide, let's, you know, we're going to do this full time. We're going to, you know, really take a stab at it. Okay. I just remember what I was going to say. If there was like a big moment, like, you know, now people are, you know, popping off on TikTok or something. If it was like, there's 10 million people that have their eyes on me right now. Do you feel like that would have been a different decision? Or was it still like, we're far enough along, like, let's just see what
and it's hard because those also, you know, at the end of the day, those are kind of just like numbers on a screen. And like TikTok, for example, it takes a certain type of person to really translate 10 million views into like a business, or people are buying tickets to see you at a show in person. So that was kind of, we sort of mentioned this earlier, where it's like, you know, Hype Machine and SoundCloud stuff is great, but then it's like, if no one really cares and no one wants to see you at shows, no one's buying merch, no one's streaming your original music on Spotify where you can't get, it's like, how do you convert that into like, you know, an actual career and a fan base and an engaged fan base? So I think that we also had, you know, we had a relatively solid grasp on the fact that like, okay, yes, like the momentum feels good and it's in the right direction, but let's be real, like they're not lining up to, you know, they're not handing us a bag of cash and making us leave our school.
I think
you know,
things happened at the right time.
Yeah. It sounds like you definitely worked it the correct way. Obviously, you're doing it still, but like to have that foundation and to build, and then eventually be like, okay, now we have this. We can really set it up to succeed. Because I'll see a lot of people, you know, have that TikTok hit, and then it's like, all right, I'm going to sign this major deal, and then they have 10 million streams on one song and 5,000 on the next, and no one's showing up to the shows. And then what? You're just like, okay, I just gave up everything for one viral moment.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah. So okay, so you get back, you work together. What was the moment like that you were able to just go like, wow, you know, we finished college, we're here, we're doing this as a business, and this is like a business generating money, and we're able to really, you know, sustain?
That also is kind of this building block thing. You know, obviously it's funny. Like I remember being so excited, like obviously sad to graduate and all my friends, whatever. But we like got home to the studio, which we were spending summers in anyway. But this is the 1st summer it's like the fall is open too, you know? And it's like, wow, we have so much time. We can like make a lot more music. And it felt very liberating and like exciting because I know how stressed we were in college trying to balance social life, school, and music. Almost impossible. But again, I think it was like it's not like your feed jumps times 20 randomly overnight. It's like literally year by year, you play the city. Oh, they add 10%, then, you know, and then you look back and you're like, damn, all right, nice. So I think it's definitely been a gradual process. In, I guess, the theme of the whole conversation, we haven't had like that one viral moment. It's all been like this building process, which has been good. We haven't had to make like rash decisions or like anything like that.
Right. Because kind of what you were saying, you know, there are we know plenty of them where it's like, yeah, you have that viral hit that has 500 million streams on Spotify. And then you know, no one's really buying tickets to your show. For us, it was almost the opposite. Like, you know, we had to put in the time and the energy over the past 11 years to really think about everything and build it up slowly. But I think that you know, that's led to like, we could plan out things more deliberately. We could, you know, really build up this fan base.
Well, now you have a career that's, you know, you've continually put out a product that people are responding to. And it's not just like we had one thing that happened and it's like, okay, now we got to chase that. Or are we going to be able to do that again? Or we're not going to, or
probably the scariest thing in an artist's career. Like if your hit comes and you're not ready for it, like, I mean, even if you're putting out good music, like you don't want to live and die by hits. Like sometimes you just can't control it. So I think it's much more beneficial if you just kind of get that core fan base and you can grow from there.
Once you guys graduated high school, when you graduated college and kind of convened and did this full time, were you touring a lot more at that point? Like, was that a big priority?
Honestly, not.
It was a priority, but it's just the demand again. It wasn't quite enough where it was consistent.
Okay. And it's funny because we know a lot of people that go through similar experience where it's like we really were like, we almost told we had management before an agent. We told our management, we're like, all right, we're ready. Like we want an agent. We are ready for shows. And it's like, it doesn't like, you can't just magically create demand. And, you know, we were getting like some colleges and various places would hit us up, but like definitely at the beginning. And by the way, we've been with our same agent for 8 years now, same guy the whole time. And we love him. So like, he knows this, but in the very beginning, we were definitely a little, not like angry, but we were like impatient. We're like, look, you know, we have the hype machine, we have SoundCloud. Like, why are we not playing nightclubs and festivals every week? And again, it's like a slow grind where it's like, okay, you know, you do it a couple shows, you know, you got to put in effort to like promote them, make sure they go well, play a good set, you know, and then kind of just like slowly start building it up where now you have a history in a lot of these cities. You go back and can do it a little bigger.
It's definitely a grind. Could I do it again? No, probably not.
It'd be like we wouldn't say yes to everything, but we would say yes to 90% of
probably more
95% of offers, as long as we weren't gonna lose. And sometimes we would lose. Sometimes the flights and hotels and all that is more than what they were paying us. But it was like, you know, we just wanted to get out there and just like get almost as if it's like the circuit, and you need to like get in the circuit and never leave.
Right. And cut your teeth and then get your, I mean, you may be losing some money, but you're also getting yourself in front of X amount of people.
Exactly. Totally. Getting in with certain promoters.
And you know what, if you lose a little money, but they're going to double your fee because it went so well, then the next time you make up for that and then they double it again, like, you know,
you play there 20 times. It's like, oh shit.
Now you look back and like, who cares? You know, we lost $100 that first time, but it made itself up.
Sure.
Yeah, that route back then, it was like, so this was like right after the first like 2 or 3 years after we graduated college.
Yeah, not 3 years.
2 years.
We were playing a lot of shows by like the third year.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was just gonna say, even that third year though, the routing would be like, because we were saying yes, it was like our agent would just be like, you sure? Okay, cool. Like lock it in. So we're going from like, you know, Alabama on a Thursday,
LA to like East Coast.
Yeah. Then, so let's just say we'll go LA to Alabama for a Thursday night show. then go to Arizona for a Friday show, then New York for a Saturday show, then back to LA for Sunday morning. It would be like, but at the time it was like so exciting. It was like,
Oh,
it
sure.
was brutal. It was definitely brutal, but like at the same time, it's like, oh, we're doing shows.
Like how awesome! Like we're on a plane, like every day playing shows across the whole country. Like I'm sure that had to be so
Definitely,
amazing. Well, coming up to like when COVID and all that happened, were you on a tour or planning a tour, or were you just in this middle of music?
We got pretty lucky. I mean, of course, we had 50 plus shows canceled during COVID, but we had our first bus tour starting January like 14th, ending
2020.
Yeah, 2020, January 14th, 2020, ending on March 6th or 7th, 2020. And then we had 2 more shows. And then we got back to LA from Cabo, or it was the last show, and everything shut down. So we got our whole bus tour in.
Wow.
Which is amazing because a lot of people got cut short or barely started. So that was our big step for us. It was kind of a hard step because financially, these bus tours for DJs are not the best thing, but they show the promoters in the market like, oh, look, we can do these hard tickets. And then you can get all these festival offers, all this other stuff. Obviously, none of that happened, but
sure,
worked out in the end. But yeah, that was definitely, I guess, lucky given the circumstances.
Were you in Cabo, or did you do that festival and you were able to make it back before?
Yes.
Yeah, we became like a big thing.
It was like the perfect couple. It was like we got back. It was back, everyone knew something was coming. It would be like
Monday show.
Yeah,
in spring break.
And people were even joking. It was like everyone's in the pool, and we're like, oh, that's the COVID pool. Like no one thought it was that serious.
Right.
And then we get back, everything's fine, everyone's healthy, and we hadn't been home in 2 months. So we get home and we're like, we had carved out a couple, like not even that long, but like
that was a Monday. I think our next show was like on a Wednesday.
The next Wednesday
in Mexico.
So we knew we had like 9 days anyway of just like, all right, we finished the tour, we're home. And yeah, then we were like,
we never left.
We never left.
Yeah. And it was like, I feel like it's okay to talk about this now, kind of in hindsight, where like when everyone thought COVID was just gonna be a few weeks, that was definitely a thing, no one knew.
Flatten the curve, dude.
So like when they canceled our first couple shows in March, we were almost okay with it. We're like, we just did 50 shows in 2 months. We were on a bus for 8 or 9 weeks. Like, okay, they have to cancel one show, not the worst. We could relax a little, like kind of decompress. And then we're like, okay, like let's go. Like, when are we getting back here? Yeah. And still no one really, they're like, oh, another week, give it time, another week, another month. And it was like,
then we started doing a couple of those where we got rescheduled virtually, and we're like, okay, this is kind of interesting.
A lot of shows just from the backyard here at our studio.
Oh yeah.
That was an interesting time, like the live streams. I'm sure, especially for people in electronic music, it's like you vibe off people.
Yeah,
energy.
It did a lot for us because we basically started our Big Bootie Mixes, which have been a big thing for us.
Oh, so those started during COVID. I didn't realize that.
No, the mixes didn't start, but we started hearing them through ticketed live streams.
Oh, okay.
So the first ticketed live stream was for Big Bootie Mix 18, which was in the fall of 2020, and kind of grew it from there. And we did it twice a year. And now in October, we're doing the first in-person premiere. So very cool. So kind of actually COVID catalyzed like something that probably wouldn't have happened. And now it's like one of our biggest
because the whole thing was we obviously couldn't do any shows. And so the Big Booty Mix, normally we would premiere it, but all that meant was
just like a stream online.
Yeah, we just
stream it on. Yeah, I've seen it like on SoundCloud and stuff.
Yeah,
you just put one up a couple months ago.
Yeah, so like we still put them up on SoundCloud, but for COVID, what we decided to do was, since we can't do real shows, we could still film our own show. So we would go to warehouses, or one we did in the middle of the night in the desert.
Oh,
and
cool.
Literally, we had crew with us to build the stage. We had, visuals playing in the background, and basically the audience was 0 people, but we acted like we're on stage performing it, and we filmed it. And
sick production, do the whole thing, huge camera crew, everything, and kind of make a concert for people who can go to a concert.
Yeah,
sure, that's cool. Aside from that, you've released a handful of songs through 2020, 2021, and obviously up to now. Were you just grinding throughout that as well,
like,
writing a ton?
So exhausted before, honestly. In the beginning of COVID, we were like, as Eli said, relieved. because we were doing so many shows, constantly traveling the whole 3 years prior. So we were just making so much music. It was like the best time for music.
Yeah.
Honestly, a lot of the music we're still releasing, we started during COVID.
Because it was one of those things too. Before COVID, it was just everything was so, not in the worst way, but it was just hectic and constantly moving. So it was very hard for us to kind of like plan more than 1 or 2 songs ahead. Like we probably knew what song was coming next, but then the song after that definitely wasn't even finished and didn't even know which one it was going to be. So it was felt a little like almost like you have to go one song at a time, which wasn't very, it was stressful. And so during COVID, obviously, we have way less of a hectic schedule where we have the whole week in the studio instead of having to get interrupted to travel. And so we got ahead for probably the first time ever. It felt like, okay, we could be working on multiple songs, have multiple in the bank ready to go when we, when we need releases, and like kind of just feel a little less like the rat race.
Right. You almost you had a chance to kind of catch up and then regroup. Now it's like, now we have we have some songs that are,
and try even creatively, like creatively being able to try new things or work with new people. Whereas before it may have felt like if we don't feel 95% confident that this is going to be something released soon, then like we can't waste our time even trying it. That's kind of an exaggeration, but a little bit of that. And then
you could experiment.
Right. And then so COVID, it's like, you know what, let's try this session. Oh, we did, we tried something, it didn't quite work. It's okay. We have a million more days before we're back on the road. So
sure. Well, I love the song with Motson that you have that just recently came out. And you have your shows sold out, right? The Big Bootie Land, the thing in October, both 2 days sold out.
Exactly. We're doing basically a live premiere, and we're going to choose a new city every 6 months for the premiere of the Big Bootie Mix. So this will be volume 22, and we're doing 2 huge days in Boston, and sold out in like the first 24 hours. We're honestly surprised, but excited.
That's so huge.
So then we're still on the road all summer and fall, regardless too. So we got some fun festivals and stuff coming up. But then those we're trying to do for every new Big Bootie Mix, try to make that kind of like a special,
develop it into a festival, which is called
That's cool. And do you have, obviously 6 months from October is going to be theoretically the next one. And do you have cities in mind that you're like, okay, we're going to definitely go there next? And then
working on it.
We have ideas where we're talking to people. Our agents obviously talking to people.
Sure.
Got some fun stuff. We obviously want to, keep it a surprise, but we'll probably try to leave some breadcrumbs here and there to, like, our goal almost is to make it like a exciting thing where the announcement of each new city like almost feels like the Olympics choosing a new, like
drum roll,
right.
Boom.
All right, 2 friends are coming too, and then like an envelope or something. Exactly. Yeah,
that's a great promo idea.
You should do that, and then just make sure it says Nashville because that's where I moved to.
I love it.
Because eventually
throw it at Vanderbilt. We'll just get it tied all together. I love it, man. Well, thank you both so much for taking time to hang out. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it. It was great chatting.
Yeah, I do have one more question for the both of you. And I want to know if you have any advice for aspiring artists.
I would say every year it gets more saturated and it's difficult. So
give up.
So don't get discouraged. I think you got to move with the trends in the sense of social media, but try to keep your own lane. Figure out your lane and then stick with it in terms of the actual music. So obviously, TikTok's a great way if you're singer-songwriter vibe or anything like that. On the DJ world, it's really difficult because it's a little harder to pop, I think, on TikTok. But find your sound, lean into your personality, invest time in the music, but also in the branding and social side of it. Try to be someone that people would want to buy tickets to.
Yeah. And then I think, I think it is important to have fun and make it enjoyable. If you're going to devote your time, your full effort and time to it, you got to keep it fun. So for us, I think, especially early on, like some of the non-music stuff was actually still fun. Like, building the brand on social media, coming up with merch ideas, helping out, in the early days, we were basically co-producing and co-writing our music videos. Like that stuff was fun, but it's not necessarily fun for everyone. So if it's not, you know, that's where a team comes in place, and like kind of offloading some of that stuff to other people who you trust and who are part of the vision. And then being able to focus on the things that do, you know, keep you excited every single day, even when it might not be lucrative at the start.